There is no greater nightmare on this planet to an entrepreneur or a small business owner than the thought of having to go back to work for somebody else. Make sure you hit subscribe. If you like this content, then you're going to like a lot more of my business content. And I'll talk more about that nightmare at the end of this episode. It's a little story to tell, but um, I did a I do a podcast on Spotify called the Stuff They Don't Teach You in Business School, and I did an episode called "You Don't Get Days Off in This Game," and the downloads went crazy. And another person I do a podcast series where it's like, yeah, you need to go do this on YouTube. There's probably a crowd out there that would enjoy it too. And I'm like, all right, I'll go record this one really quick. Um, Something I believe in, something that's very easy for me to speak about. And when I say you don't get days off in this game, it's to me, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a business owner, it's the buck stops with you at the end of the day. Um, I never felt like I had the luxury to take Saturday off. If if a customer or an employee or a contractor, if someone needs me at 11 a.m. on a Saturday, then it's on me to be available. I just don't get to work 8 to 5 and then mentally check out at 5 o'clock on Friday. You realize as you start getting more people that are counting on you, and that's customers and employees, that you have to be available. You don't get the luxury of saying, I don't feel like it, or I need to unplug, or I need to unwind. You might need to unplug and you might need to unwind, but if you want to make it 40 years in business, and I say 40 years, work from your 20s to your 60s and then retire, um, yeah, you don't get days off in this game. And it's, you can play by your own rule. That's the whole part of being an entrepreneur, but I don't see those people make it very long. I see them get bounced out of this really quick, and they want to treat it like a 9 to 5, where they got that like big comfy support of a corporation with big branding and big history. We don't get to play by those same rules as small business owners or even solo entrepreneurs. Um, I've always been on 7 days a week. When I think of work-life balance, I think of it as, if I want to work Saturday morning, I'm going to work Saturday morning. And if I don't, then I don't. It's just one of those things that we we can't figure out how to manage our lives in that way. If I want to work out, instead of going to lunch on Wednesday, I might go to the gym. To me, this is work-life balance, right? But as a business owner, an entrepreneur, you just don't really get days off. The buck stops with you. It's your business. If it fails, that's your fault. You're supposed to do whatever you have to do to survive. And there's a lot of these people out there that are kind of anti um, hustle culture. And I'm a very, keep grinding, keep hustling type of person. Um, and that's not for everybody. I don't think everybody has to hustle and grind 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm just saying, if you want to be a successful business owner or entrepreneur, that assuming you didn't get some big funding, or you're not a three comic kid with a fat trust fund coming your way. For most of us who started off with nothing, we have to keep grinding 7 days a week. We have to be on. We can't turn off. We can't unplug. It's hard to stay in business for decades. And I think that's one of the things that we overlook. You see someone that has short-term success, but you don't look at, where are they in 10 years? Where are they in 20 years? Can you keep this thing going for 30 years? I've been in business for 20 years right now. I had to go through 3 recessions, technically a recession / pandemic, and I'm still growing my companies. And it's been hell. I have the scars to prove it, right? It's not been easy, and I've watched so many of my competitors get bumped out. But it's one of those things that they're never going to keep up with me, because I go to bed on Saturday night. I'm thinking about business stuff, right? I'm thinking about that new strategy. I'm thinking about how I can get ahead on Sunday, so I can take your ass out on Monday, right? So if you type in hustle culture on Google, you get fed with 20 million articles on how it's toxic, And everyone's telling you why you shouldn't do something. And my general thought on that is um, everyone that's ever told me I need to take a break, or I need to unplug, or you need to treat yourself, or you deserve it, it was typically people who haven't achieved much, and it's no offense to them. Or they are people that never missed a meal in their life. And when I say that, I I starved as a little kid. Like my mom would disappear for days, and there was no food in the house. Um, we were broke. I worked multiple jobs as a teenager to keep my car and try to keep our apartment. My dad worked multiple crappy jobs. Um, when my dad filed bankruptcy when I was a teenager, I watched the car that I worked for my money and bought get towed away because it was in his name. These are the things that you go through, and it's like I will hustle and grind forever before I ever starve again, before I ever let my father feel that pain again, before I ever let anybody in my family down again. Um, I would much rather hustle and grind 7 days a week than to ever go back to that. And a lot of times I have people that I've run into say, "Oh, you work too much," or "You need to take a break and you need to do this." Um, they've never missed a meal in their life, okay? And if something goes wrong in their life, they got something to fall back on. It's maybe they're married and they got dual incomes, or one of their families has money. Like I saw that in 2008. When 2008 hit, if things were really bad, there's no one I could go run to. No one in my family has money other than me. I had to take care of them. And a lot of people that are often were telling me, that hustle, blah blah blah, it's bad, and it's like, well, yeah, but if things go bad for you, you go back and live with your parents, man, or they'll give you money. In fact, they've given you a lot of money. It's like I didn't get a BMW for graduating college, man. In fact, I didn't even go to college. So it's very hard to have these like conversations about hustle and grind with people that never had to hustle and grind and never had their back against the wall. That's where I come from. Until I had success, I always had my back against the wall. And then when I talk to people now and I try to mentor them, it's like, well, you want to be a business owner, you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to grow something. It's not going to be 9 to 5. If your employee needs you at 11 o'clock on Saturday or 6 p.m. on Sunday, you got to be available for them. It's your company. It's your responsibility 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you don't get to say no. I feel that way about executives. You get to a certain point in a C-suite, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear how you need to go off to the south of France for 2 weeks and unplug. Are you telling me that your job was more stressful than what the nurses just went through in 18 months of COVID right now? I don't think so, man. To the grocery workers that were stocking the shelves, risking their lives, the people that just busted their ass in the last 18 months to keep this world moving, to keep us alive. I don't think your job at the C-suite is all that stressful. And I'm saying that because there was something on Bloomberg yesterday that mentioned like Coinbase, that their executives are going to get burnt out from all the scrutiny. Man, cry me a river. If you think about what people went through for the last 18 months, and Coinbase is talking about their executives getting burnt out for scrutiny, well, what are you getting scrutiny for in the first place? Man, if you can't handle it, you get out. And that's how I feel about small business and entrepreneurship. You have to be built for this game. You have to be tough. And if you're going to try to do this, I want to work a lot less, but I want to make as much money as the person working a lot more. You're either going to have to be like incandescently brilliant and, you know, get maybe lucky, or you got some family money or some big funding from somewhere. You're going to realize most of the people that started businesses from nothing had to just grind 7 days a week nonstop to survive. Um, it doesn't mean you can't take a vacation. It doesn't mean you can't take out time for your family. This doesn't mean working 24 hours a day. I'm just saying you don't get to mentally unplug and just stop thinking about stuff for days or weeks. You can't stop thinking about your customers or your employees or your contractors or your vendors. And I think that's a misconception. If I want to get up on Saturday morning and do 4 hours of work when I had nothing else going on, for example, other than maybe going to the gym or going for a bike ride, what does it matter if I sit there and watch Netflix or work for 4 hours? And in some way, society has deemed it more acceptable to sit around and watch TV all Saturday than work. If you worked 4 hours on Saturday, you're a hustle culture toxic person. But if you sit around and watch not Netflix all day, then that's decompressing and chilling, and you needed to do that. And then go back to the Coinbase thing with the executives facing burnout from scrutiny. It's like, dude, my father worked in a steel factory 12 hours a day, 10 hours on the weekend, 7 days a week. I saw what exhausted looked like. I saw what burned out looked like. And I know physical versus mental work's two different things, but I watched my father do that for 30 years in a steel factory. You're burnt out from sitting in your Herman Miller $2,000 chair, drinking your Nespresso, driving your Porsche to work with your stock options. And yeah, I don't feel bad for you. And I'm not even being a hater because I'm someone that's had a reasonable amount of success in my life. But yeah, I just don't feel bad for you. It's when I look at what people went through in the last 18 months with COVID, man, toughen up. But this is why I see so many businesses fail. I knew someone that had a store, a retail store. They were successful for 15 years, and they grinded it out. They always opened their store early. They always kept it open till when they said it was going to stay open, or they stayed open later. They would open the store for customers after hours. They would open on Sunday after they went to church. They sold this store to somebody, and within 6 months, they ran it out of business. Opening the store late, they were shutting the store down early, they wouldn't open on Sundays anymore. Within 6 months, they took a successful 15-year business and they ran it right into the goddamn ground. I've seen this story so many times with particularly restaurants. Restaurants are open 7 days a week in most places. You're open for 10, 12 hours sometimes. You don't get to unplug and hope everything's going to be taken care of. Nobody's going to care more than you. Plain and simple. You're the business owner. You're supposed to care. You're the entrepreneur. It's your money. It's your livelihood on the line. So, just switching gears. I wrote this. I was doing a spoken word album that I've never finished. And I wrote this out one day. And what you see on my screen here. And it was just some thoughts. It wasn't even trying to rhyme. I was trying to get this idea sketched down for this spoken word album. And I was hoping someone else would write a song at a time for his album. And it was about hustling. It was about being on a grind. And I threw this together, and there's just a couple thoughts to discuss really quick. But those first two lines are something I said my whole life. Not looking forward to Fridays, never going to hate Mondays. This resonates with nobody. If I told you how many times I told someone this and I get the deer in headlights or they look at me like I'm crazy. I never hated Mondays, man. Those people that get up and they loathe Mondays, you ever notice that their careers never do much? If you spend your whole life hating work and you need work to make money, to put food in your mouth and to buy clothes and to have shelter and have a home and take care of your family. Again, from where I came from, I wanted to work. I wanted money. I knew what it was like to be broke, to starve, to have nothing. Yeah, I didn't want that. I'll work 7 days a week, 24 hours a day if I have to before I ever feel that again. So I never hated Mondays. Mondays was opportunity. Mondays meant the world was going back and it was time to do business and I could go chase my ambitions and my dreams again. So I looked forward to Mondays. I didn't hate Mondays. And I'm never going to hate, not looking forward to Fridays, never going to hate Mondays. Not looking forward to Fridays. I like Fridays. I like to party. I like to go out and eat. I like to travel. There's a lot of stuff I want to do on Fridays, and I do it. If you look at my Instagram, I've had a pretty goddamn good time. If you see, where I've traveled and what I've done. And yeah, it's Friday night and I want to go do stuff. That's back to the work-life balance. You don't have to work 24 hours a day, man. But Friday means the weekend's coming, and to me, business is slowing down. And when that's slowing down, that means I can't run as fast after my dreams anymore. And my ambitions tend to slow down. So I got to look forward to Monday because things get back to business. So I never had this great love for Friday unless I had something big to look forward to, traveling or a concert or doing something fun. Because when it came to my dreams and my ambitions, that means things were slowing down. When I say staying up and rising early in that line, that's an entrepreneur. This is back to where I say you don't get days off. You don't get to work 9 to 5. If it's your business, if it's your baby, the buck stops with you. Sometimes you're just not going to get much sleep. Sometimes you might get no sleep. I got friends that have, and I tell this story often because it's one of the best stories I can tell when it comes to work ethic and dedication and sacrifice. They got platinum records on the walls. They're Grammy nominated. They will lock themselves in the studio for 24 hours and not leave, working on something until they get it perfect. Do you think anybody in that studio ever tells them that they need to work less, that they need to take a break, that they need to unplug or unwind? For some reason, like I call it rock band theory. The rock band can lock themselves in a garage for a week straight and no one ever tells them to take a break. Because when they're chasing their dreams and their passions, it's okay because it's music and it's cool. When you're doing it for a business, it's toxic. Hustle culture is toxic. Grinding culture is toxic. Well, why? Because someone on the internet wrote it. Stop believing everything you read on the internet. But when you see these people that have like went and chased their dreams so hard to the point where they got the platinum records and the Grammy noms, I look up to those people. I want to be like that. I don't want to be like the person that worked at 8 to 5 that kept telling you why they came up short. Um, and this life ain't for everybody. You don't have to be about hustle and grinding. You can work 9 to 5 and be happy. I'm talking to the people that want to start their own companies, they want to be an entrepreneur, they want to own their own destiny. I'm just saying, if you want to do that, you don't get days off. You got to keep grinding. A couple more lines. Animal ambition. You know those people that just, whether they were in sports, no matter what they did, they just had this ambition that was high and they had the work ethic to go with it. And it might have took them a while to get there, but they get there. Like, do you have that inside of you? If you don't, maybe rethink getting into this game. Doing it when others won't. How many people make excuses about only working 40 hours or you shouldn't have to work more than 40 hours? I say you got to work enough to live the life you want to. If you can work 32 hours a week and be happy and pay your bills, good. If you can do it in 24 hours a week, do it. No one says you can't. I just run into a lot of people that come out of college and they want to make $100,000 a year and they want to work 40 hours a week or less and they have no skills. I say good luck with that, right? Because I don't know anybody. You're going to have to either go learn a skill that someone's willing to pay you a bunch of money for, or you're going to have to go bust your ass until you master a skill or start your own business. That's it. This whole, I want to work less and make more. Of course, everybody wants to do that, but I'm asking you, how many people do you see succeeding at that, unless they're in like the top 1% of the top 1% of intelligence, and or they came from money? The average Joe that had to just go out there and start a business and bust their ass doesn't get that luxury. Just not realistic at the end of the day. Let's see. The highest highs and the highest lows. Welcome to becoming a business owner, man. There's going to be days that are so low you don't want to get up tomorrow. And there's going to be those days that are so damn high you never want them to end. But I'm going to tell you what they do. And they usually end faster than you ever thought they would. Silence dampens our souls. It's back to Friday to me. All right, Friday, things slows down and I get less inspired. I can't wait for Monday to come. I can have fun stuff to do all weekend and I will enjoy my life. But I'm looking forward to Monday to getting back to business and chasing my dreams. Chaos is our drug of choice. The next big idea is our fix. I know a lot of people in the startup world, small business owners. I'm active in that community as an investor. That next idea is like heroin to us, man. It is our fix. We talk business nonstop. The text messages are always rolling. It can be 2 o'clock in the morning. I might get a business idea from somebody. Someone sending me an article from Bloomberg. There's these people that live that life, and we love it. What if you told someone that business is your hobby, that business is your passion? There's nothing wrong with that. But it's like if you say that to people now, you get attacked. You're evil. You're greedy. It's like, no, I just love this. For every kid out there that ever had the lemonade stand, you love this. You wanted to start your own business. You wanted to create something. You want to create jobs for other people. Create something for yourself. Create generational wealth. There's nothing wrong with that. That's not toxic. Even when people's doubts abound, I'll tell you what, everyone's always going to tell you that you can't do it, and that should be the endless energy source to make sure that you do go do it. But anyways, to finish on a note, I opened this up about, the entrepreneur's greatest nightmare. The thing, and this is the thing that keeps you working or keeps your mind thinking sharp 7 days a week, 365, where, I don't go to bed at night thinking about stupid stuff. I tend to roll through the next day on how I'm going to succeed. You see yourself running through the finish line. The entrepreneur's greatest nightmare is the thought of having to go back to work for somebody else. If you've ever worked for yourself for any period of time, even if it's just a year or 2 years, the thought of going back and having someone else tell you what to do literally is the greatest nightmare you'll ever have. To go back to have to work for a corporation or a bad boss, there are some, not as many as people say, to not have your autonomy, to have to ask for things, to not do whatever you want whenever you want. That is a nightmare. And I think that is what fuels so many of us to keep grinding and keep hustling. You see those people that are miserable in the corporate world. I would rather work 7 days a week and grind and hustle, no matter how toxic people want to say it is, than to go have to work for a large corporation and have to ask for something all the time. I don't like asking for vacation time. I just want to take a vacation. I don't want to go and put a slip in to find out. That's not who I want it to be. I watched my father do that one time. I was probably 10 years old or something. We were up north and the weather was beautiful. It was Sunday and we had to go back home. Monday was going to be beautiful. And pulling from memory here on the fly. And he had to call and ask for that extra day off. And that has sat with me forever. And I understand if you're an employee, that's how it goes. But I never wanted that. I never wanted to have to go ask someone else to have a day off to spend more time with my family. It was these little things as a child that drove me to want to go start my own companies and have my own autonomy. And there's people out there that can be very happy working, 9 to 5 for someone else, and their life is great, and I think that's awesome. Go find whatever path it is that allows you to be happy. But for someone like me, I never wanted that. I would rather work, 7 days a week and work some on the weekends. I would rather work at 8 o'clock on Wednesday night than to ever have to work for somebody else. So that when you go to bed at night, if there's a fear, if you wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning worrying about something, you're going to worry about having to go back to work for somebody else. Once you've experienced the ability to run your own thing and watch it grow, to have your freedom, to have your own autonomy, you never ever want to go back to working for somebody else. And that's where I go back and say, you know what, the hustle and grind culture is not toxic. If you want to stay in business for 40 years and never have to go back to work for somebody else, you're either going to have to get independently wealthy and not worry about it. Maybe you got some money coming from your family. I don't. I have to take care of my family. We were broke. Yeah. You're going to keep grinding. You have to stay in business. And that's the only way it's going to work. Unless you can get so big and you got so many employees where you can check out. But anyways, that's my thoughts. I understand how people see the whole hustle and grind culture is toxic. It's just, I know my point in life is to make sure that I take care of myself and my family and put food on the table and I have clothes and shelter and retirement. And to do that, I know I have to work. And it seems like in the way that things are going in the world, we want to tell people that, let's stop worrying about providing for ourselves and we need to go live more. Until you wake up at 57 years old and you ain't got the money to live and it's hard to get a job and your social security is not going to cover your life. That's another nightmare I'll get into in another episode. But don't let anyone ever tell you that your hustle and grind mentality is toxic. I'm going back to the people that got the platinum records and the Grammy nods. They got the Grammy nods and the platinum records because they worked their ass off. They made sacrifices. It was dedication, and they kept going. That's no different if you want to go start your restaurant or your new online business or whatever it is you want to do. Don't let anyone get in your way. If I were listening to half the people that told me I need to take a break or I need to unplug or I need to unwind or that I work too much, I've never felt like I work too much. I wake up wanting to do this. They just can't understand that. They don't need to understand them. They don't need to understand you. If you wake up in the morning and you're happy doing what you're doing, keep doing it until you succeed. Um, until then, I'm going to catch you on the next one.